When we think about evolution, we usually picture nature's greatest athletes. Fast cheetahs, razor-sharp eagles, and relentless apex predators that fight every single day just to earn their place on Earth. For centuries, Charles Darwin taught us a simple rule: survival of the fittest. You either adapt, get stronger, or you vanish forever. But if you take a closer look at the deep jungles, high treetops, and mysterious ocean floors, you will quickly notice something completely absurd. Nature seems to have a hilarious sense of humor. Right alongside these perfectionist killers, they're live creatures that seem completely out of place. Animals that move at the speed of a lagging internet connection. Creatures with brains so smooth they struggle to recognize their own food. Or animals whose primary defense strategy is literally falling asleep or playing dead. By all logical rules of biology, these guys should have gone extinct millions of years ago. Yet, here they are, thriving, multiplying, and outliving species that were 10 times bigger and infinitely smarter. How on earth is this possible? Is intelligence actually overrated in the wild? Is being lazy secretly the ultimate survival cheat code? Welcome back to our channel. Today we are diving deep into the fascinating slow-motion world of 15 animals that seem way too dumb and lazy to survive, but somehow unlock the secret to eternal existence. Let's unravel the genius hidden behind their goofy faces. And those iconic ivory tusks? They use them as natural ice picks to pull their massive body out of the water. Let's kick off our list with the undisputed monarch of slow living, the sloth. If laziness were an Olympic sport, the sloth wouldn't even show up to the ceremony because moving to get the medal takes way too much effort. Moving at a top speed of just 0.15 miles per hour, sloths are so slow that algae actually grows on their fur. To an outsider, they look like an easy drive-through snack for jaguars and harpy eagles. In fact, sloths are so uncoordinated that they sometimes mistake their own arm to their death, grab it, and fall they still alive. The answer lies in a brilliant evolutionary trade-off. Sloths don't fight the world, they just ignore it. Their diet consists almost entirely of leaves, which provide almost 0 calories. While other animals burn huge amounts of energy hunting and running, sloths lowered their internal thermostat. They have the slowest metabolic rate of almost any mammal. That green algae growing on their back? It's not dirt. It's an incredible camouflage suit that renders them completely invisible to predators that hunt by sight. Predators look for fast movement, so by doing absolutely nothing, the sloth becomes a phantom in the trees. Furthermore, their muscles are built like natural pulley systems, allowing them to hang upside down for days without expending a single calorie. They only climb down once a week to poop, risking everything for basic hygiene. The sloth proved to the world that you don't need to be fast. Next up is Australia's beloved icon, the koala. They look like adorable teddy bears, but scientifically speaking, koalas are a medical miracle of survival despite having almost no brain power. Koalas have one of the smallest brain-to-body mass ratios of any mammal. Even stranger, their brains are completely smooth, lacking the folds that higher animals use for complex thinking. If you pick fresh eucalyptus leaves and put them on a flat plate in front of a koala, it will literally starve to death because its brain cannot process leaves unless they are attached to a tree branch. To make matters worse, koalas eat eucalyptus leaves, a plant that is intensely toxic, fibrous, and offers virtually no nutritional value to almost any other creature on Earth. Digesting poison takes so much energy that koalas have to sleep up to 20 hours a day just to process their lunch. So why hasn't evolution wiped them out? Because koalas pulled off a masterstroke in real estate and diet strategy. By choosing to eat a leaf that is completely toxic and disgusting to everyone else, they eliminated all competition. No other animal wants their food. No other animal wants to fight them for their territory. Their specialized liver breaks down the toxins, and their slow lifestyle conserves every drop of precious energy. They spend their entire lives sitting high up in eucalyptus trees, eating poison, and taking long naps. They didn't need a bigger brain because their environment required zero complex decisions. In a world full of aggressive competitors, the koala won by claiming a niche so useless that nobody else even bothered to try. If you're enjoying this journey into nature's most wonderfully lazy creatures, hit that like button and subscribe to join our wildlife community. Your support helps us create more deep, high-quality stories about the strange natural world. Now get ready, because in the next section, we're meeting a bird that looks like a living dinosaur and forgets how to fly. If you ever stumble upon a shoebill stork in the swamps of East Africa, you might honestly think someone left a giant plastic statue in the mud. This bird will stare directly into your soul, completely unmoving, for hours on end. They look so motionless and dim-witted that tourists often ask if they are even alive. Standing up to 5 feet tall with a terrifying shoe-shaped beak, the shoebill seems like an evolutionary leftover from the Cretaceous period. They don't waste energy flying around or actively hunting. Instead, their entire life strategy revolves around doing absolutely nothing until the exact right millisecond. You see, the muddy, low-oxygen waters where they live make fish surface periodically for air. While other birds wear themselves out splashing around, the shoebill simply freezes. It acts like a statue to blend into the reeds. But when a lungfish or a baby crocodile surfaces, the shoebill executes a devastating move called collapsing. It literally falls forward with its entire body weight, using its heavy hook-tipped bill to crush and decapitate its target instantly. What looks like utter laziness or brain-dead apathy is actually the ultimate form of patience. The shoebill saves every single calorie for one lethal high-precision strike. By mastering the art of remaining perfectly still, this prehistoric giant dominates a brutal wetland ecosystem without ever breaking a sweat. Meet the kakapo from New Zealand, the world's heaviest, only flightless, and arguably most confused parrot. If an evolutionary biologist designed a bird purely for comedic effect, they would create the kakapo. Because they weigh up to 9 pounds, their wings are far too small to lift them into the air. But here's the funny part. Sometimes the kakapo completely forgets it cannot fly. It will excitedly climb high up into a tree, jump off with total confidence, and immediately crash land onto the forest floor like a dropped bowling ball. When faced with danger, instead of running away, the kakapo's primary defense mechanism is to freeze completely on the spot, hoping its owl-like green feathers will make it look like a bush. Even worse, they naturally smell like sweet honey and musty herbal tea, making them extremely easy for predators to track down. So how did such a defenseless, clumsy creature survive for hundreds of thousands of years? The secret is that for millions of years, New Zealand was an isolated paradise with zero land mammals. There were no cats, rats, or stoats. In a world with no ground predators, flying was a massive waste of energy. The kakapo traded its flight muscles for fat reserves, adapting perfectly to a peaceful world where being slow and heavy was actually a blessing. They didn't evolve to be stupid. They evolved for a paradise that humans eventually disrupted. The giant panda, the internet's favorite walking disaster. We've all seen videos of pandas tumbling off wooden platforms, rolling down hills and accidentally squishing their own babies. They belong to the order Carnivora, yet 99% of their diet is bamboo, a plant so tough and low in nutrient value that they must spend up to 12 hours a day doing nothing but chewing. Because their digestive systems are still fundamentally designed for meat, pandas extract very little energy from bamboo. As a result, they avoid exercise like the plague. They move slowly, nap frequently, and exhibit zero desire to do anything strenuous. From a strict evolutionary standpoint, swapping a rich meat diet for fibrous grass seems like total madness. But look deeper, and you'll see an ingenious survival hack. Millions of years ago, meat was scarce and competition among predators was fierce. Bamboo, however, was everywhere in the Chinese mountains, endlessly abundant and totally uncontested. To adapt, pandas grew a special pseudo-thumb, a modified wrist bone that acts like an extra finger, allowing them to grip bamboo stalks with surgical precision. They cut out all energy-draining hunts and decided to live in a floating buffet of low-calorie food. By accepting a life of perpetual laziness and clumsy falls, the panda secured a peaceful niche where food was guaranteed for eternity. Moving from tropical jungles to the freezing Arctic, meet the walrus, nature's ultimate couch potato. Weighing up to 3,000 wrinkled sea mammals spend up to 90% of their lives on land, simply sleeping, belching, and lying tightly packed together in gigantic smelly piles on frozen ice sheets. To any observer, a walrus looks completely helpless and absurdly lazy. On land, they cannot walk properly. They just waddle and jiggle their enormous layers of fat like giant bags of jelly. They move at a painful crawling speed and possess a metabolism so slow that they barely burn any calories while resting. If a polar bear approaches, a walrus rarely panics. So how does a giant clumsy lump of blubber survive in one of the deadliest frozen wildernesses on Earth? The answer lies in specialized evolution. That massive layer of fat called blubber isn't just dead weight. It's an impenetrable biological thermal suit that protects them from freezing water and sharp predator teeth. Beneath the water, they transform entirely. They don't waste energy chasing fast fish. Instead, they dive to the dark ocean floor and use their ultra-sensitive whiskers to locate thousands of clams hidden in the mud, vacuuming them up with incredible suction power. And those iconic ivory tusks? They use them as natural ice picks to pull their massive body out of the water, resting effortlessly without swimming. The walrus proves that you don't need grace or speed to dominate the icy north. You just need enough body fat and the patience to sleep through the coldest winters on Earth. Moving from the deep ocean to warm coastal waters, we meet the manatee, often affectionately called the sea cow. Manatees are giant, squishy mammals that can weigh over 1,000 pounds, yet they spend their entire lives moving in ultra-slow motion, eating grass, and taking underwater naps. Manatees have no natural weapons, no sharp teeth, no claws, no echolocation, and a metabolism so low that they cannot tolerate cold water. They swim at a casual speed of 3 to 5 miles per hour. If a predator approaches, a manatee's primary reaction is simply doing nothing, because they literally evolved without any natural instinct for aggression or fear. Surprisingly, this complete lack of defense mechanisms is precisely why they survived for tens of millions of years. Manatees evolved in shallow, warm coastal waters where large predators like sharks and killer whales rarely venture. In this peaceful environment, they unlocked an exclusive food source: vast underwater meadows of seagrass. Since grass doesn't run away, manatees had zero evolutionary pressure to develop speed, sharp senses, or complex hunting brains. Their massive bodies act as giant digestion chambers, converting low-calorie vegetation into thick layers of protective blubber. They became so harmless, peaceful, and massive that nothing in their natural habitat ever bothered to attack them. The manatee proves that when you live in a world without enemies, being completely gentle and lazy is the ultimate luxury. No video about lazy and carefree animals would be complete without the undisputed celebrity of chill, the capybara. Weighing up to 150 pounds, this South American giant is officially the largest rodent on Earth. Looking at a capybara, you will notice one constant feature: an expression of ultimate, unbroken inner peace. They move slowly, make zero aggressive gestures, and spend hours every day just soaking in warm water like they're at a luxury spa. They are so laid back that virtually every other animal, from ducks and monkeys to turtles and birds, uses them as a living couch. But don't let their sleepy demeanor fool you into thinking they are helpless targets. Capybaras implemented a social strategy that keeps them remarkably safe. First, they are semi-aquatic masters. When an apex predator like a jaguar or anaconda approaches, capybaras quickly slip into the water, holding their breath for up to 5 minutes, or sleeping with only their nostrils exposed above the surface. Second, they live in tight-knit family groups. Their calm nature reduces group stress, allowing them to maintain constant vigilance as a collective unit while remaining relaxed individually. Capybaras prove that high stress and aggressive territorialism aren't necessary for survival. By being endlessly gentle, adaptable, and comfortable in the water, they turned the brutal South American wetlands into their own personal lounge zone. In a wild world governed by fear and anxiety, the capybara conquered the ecosystem simply by refusing to stress out. Voted as the world's ugliest animal, the blobfish looks like a depressed, melting pink puddle of slime. It has no swim bladder, barely any bones, and zero functional muscle tissue. It literally cannot swim in the traditional sense. It just drifts passively along the pitch-black ocean floor. To an observer, it seems completely helpless and useless. But the blobfish is actually a masterwork of deep-sea engineering. Living thousands of feet below the surface, the water pressure is over 100 times greater than on land. Strong bones and dense muscles would be crushed instantly. Instead, the blobfish is made of a gelatinous substance slightly less dense than water. It floats effortlessly without spending a single joule of energy, opening its mouth to swallow whatever organic matter drifts by. It thrives by being utterly soft. Next is the armadillo, an animal so blind and clumsy that it frequently bumps into trees, walks into campfires, and leaps straight up into the air when startled, jumping right into the bumpers of oncoming cars. They spend up to 16 hours a day sleeping, wandering around aimlessly like tiny armored tanks driven by sleepy toddlers. Yet this goofy creature has survived for over 50 million years. Why? Because they are literally walking tanks. Their back is covered in tough, bony plates made of keratin, the same material as human fingernails. When danger strikes, most species simply roll into an impenetrable ball of armor, leaving predators like coyotes with nothing to bite except rock-hard plates. They don't need sharp senses or high intelligence when their body is a medieval castle. They just keep digging, sleeping, and surviving. Native to New Zealand, the tuatara looks like a generic lizard, but it is actually the sole survivor of an ancient reptile order that lived alongside dinosaurs 200 million years ago, and it survived by living life at absolute sub-zero speeds. The tuatara can hold its breath for nearly an hour, and its heart beats as slowly as once per minute in cold temperatures. They grow so slowly that they don't reach full size until they are 30 years old, and they comfortably live past a century. They even have a third eye on top of their head, complete with a lens and retina, used purely to track light cycles. While modern reptiles require warm sunlight to function, the tuatara thrives in freezing cold weather by simply refusing to rush. By slowing its biological clock to a crawl, it outlasted the dinosaurs without changing a bit. Rounding out this section is the echidna, one of only 2 egg-laying mammals left on Earth. With its tiny legs, beak-like snout, and body covered in sharp spines, the echidna wobbles around the Australian bush, looking like a confused walking pine cone. It has no teeth, low body temperature, and a brain that lacks a corpus calculosum, the structure connecting the left and right hemispheres in other mammals. When threatened, the echidna doesn't fight or run. It simply uses its powerful claws to dig straight down into the dirt in seconds, burying its soft face and legs while leaving a fortress of sharp, erect spines sticking out of the ground. Predators like dingoes can only stare in frustration at what is essentially a living landmine. The echidna doesn't need complex thinking, agility, or social skills. By combining an impenetrable spiky shield with an appetite for endless ants, this bizarre survivor has remained completely unchanged for tens of millions of years. Finally, we have nature's ultimate drama queens. Take the patoo bird, which spends its days sitting completely frozen on fence posts, pretending to be a broken wooden stump. Or the Virginia opossum, an animal whose main defense mechanism when stressed is literally fainting, drooling, and emitting a foul smell that convinces predators they are eating rotten meat. Then there's the thorny devil lizard, which walks with a jerky, slow-motion wobble, mimicking a dead leaf blowing in the wind. These creatures don't waste energy fleeing or fighting. Instead, they exploit the psychological blind spots of their predators. The patu relies on absolute camouflage, the opossum weaponizes disgust, and the thorny devil tricks the eye with unnatural rhythm. By acting useless, dead, or completely inedible, they make predators lose interest and simply walk away. It is not stupidity, it is the art of psychological warfare executed through absolute, effortless stillness. Looking at these 15 creatures, it's easy to laugh at their goofy faces and lazy habits. But evolutionary biology teaches us a profound lesson. Nature doesn't award points for speed, strength, or intelligence. Nature only rewards efficiency and survival. While hyper-aggressive predators often go extinct when their prey runs out, these slow, energy-saving, and seemingly foolish animals found quiet niches where they could thrive without conflict. They proved that sometimes doing less is actually doing more. In a chaotic world that constantly demands you to run faster and fight harder, these animals mastered the ultimate art of surviving by simply taking it easy. Which of these lazy survivors is your personal favorite? Let us know in the comments below. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to hit the like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe for more deep dives into the weirdest corners of our planet. Thank you for watching, and stay curious.